Hello Flosstube, my name is Laura and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see. Maybe hit like and subscribe. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to talk stitching. I've had a very fun stitching week this week and I am so excited to share it with all of you. Before I start with my stitching, I have a couple of just things to say about upcoming extra videos. I am working on the scrapbook starter, so don't worry. I know a lot of you expressed interest. I'm going to buy a couple things because I need some supplies, so it's a perfect time, and then that way I can show you just what I got, and these are the basics, so that'll be fun. And even with a basics video, you could make something as easy as this. This is not hard to do, so we can do this together. I saw my first kind of big fluffy bee this week. So I thought, okay, that's a great one to show behind my video this week. That was a Cottage Garden Samplings, I believe. And then second, after some thought and people giving me their opinions, I do think we will do a trading card swap this summer. If you can't participate, no worries. It might be a little bit smaller, but that's okay. I did have people say they were interested, and the theme that I thought about for the next theme, it's actually easily broken up into two. So I think half the theme will be summer and then the other half will be autumn. So you'll have a chance to kind of participate in some way, shape, or form. If you can't do the summer, there'll be one in the autumn as well. So that video will be coming up once I figure out, I'm going to sit down with the calendar, figure out all the dates, and then hopefully we can have that video going. So that's a couple things coming in the future, plus a couple more that I've been thinking about. So we'll see what happens. But let's talk about some stitching that I've done this week. Alrighty, so this very first one, I have a finish. And no, it's not going to necessarily be the one that you would have thought. After last week's video, I would not have said this one would be the finish. Another one which I didn't finish, I would have thought would be the finish. So this is from the Cross Stitch in the Forest from Max Pidgeon. You've seen it on lots of different people's channels because lots of people are stitching some of these beautiful patterns. And like many other people have said, there's so many patterns in this book that I would like to stitch. Those poor bugs. I just don't want to do the bug one. And I don't think a lot of people do. Ooh, I just looked at the spider. Yeah, I just can't do it. So you won't see the spider stitch from me. But what you will see this week is Heron at Dawn. I changed this up a little bit. As you'll see, I changed the fabric, and by doing so, I took out the kind of the hazy sun with the clouds. I wanted to do something that kind of said dawn to me, and I wanted to use the fabric to do that. And so I picked, here we go. Here it is. There's my finish. Oh, I think it looks fantastic. It's a little bit, let me come back here. Do you see that's kind of the color that you're going to get. It's much more vibrant than when I bring it up close. That kind of washes it out. But I just love it. It is 18 count. It's an unnamed Bestitchme from a Friday night fight night. So I don't have a name of it. I don't know if this was a one-off. Not pretty. If she's ever dyed this kind of color again. So I'm not really sure. I used all of the called for colors. I didn't have to. The only reason I would have changed, because I thought the pattern was beautiful, was if something didn't work on my fabric. But everything worked just fine, so I kept it as is. I worked on this weekend at the Spring Mingle, and I realized after the weekend how close I was. I had the bird, I think, completely done, so then I had to do kind of the, is it called swamp grass? I'm not exactly sure. Kind of the greenery, and then the water and the water droplets. I have to tell you, that was my least favorite part. I wasn't a big fan of that. Every single one of these, 3 different greens here, and there's rotating, and then, I don't know, just, I did carry a little bit in the back, but not tons. So there was a lot of stopping and starting, and I think you know by now, that's my least favorite kind of stitching. So, but I'm happy that I persevered and I got it done, and I have a finish. This one actually was a pretty quick stitch, I have to say. I so enjoyed it that I couldn't put it down. I was watching Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher. Let me write down as I talk about people. And Beth is stitching a different piece from this book as well. And but she had made a comment about how she found the Max Pigeon pieces. She wasn't sure what to call it, whether it was meditative or relaxing or what the word might be. And I completely agree. There was just something about, and I definitely kind of did this one in lines of color, but there was something very relaxing about it. And as the picture came out, it was very satisfying with the different designs. So I completely understood what she was saying, even though she wasn't quite sure what word she wanted to use. And I completely agree. If you like the look of Max Pigeon, but you have not tried any of his stitches yet, I would wholly recommend it. If you'd like to see this piece fully finished, then I'm going to have you hop on over to Uplift Stitches. Melanie stitched this one. Let me just write down Uplift. And she fully finished it, and it looks beautiful. I don't know. I'm actually contemplating framing this one versus scrapbooking it. I know you're surprised. I don't know exactly what kind of route I want to go, but hers is absolutely beautiful. And then Karen from the Stitching Owl is currently stitching it. And then Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner, I think Mary said she finished it, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to wait and see when Mary puts out another video. So lots of, those are the people I know stitching this piece. I'm sure there's plenty more. I so enjoyed it. I had a blast stitching it, and now I just need to figure out what to do with it. So you might see that one at some point on my shelves, because I might put that one in a frame. I think the color of the frame is something I want to really think about and be thoughtful about where I want to go with that. And I think that's part of what might stop me for a little while. I have some ideas though floating in the head. Alrighty, let me go to my photos. This is a digital pattern next. I figured that I would follow up the finish with the one that I thought I might finish and did not do so in the least. Oh, I'm looking for it and I'm looking in the wrong folder of photos. I will not find it in there. Okay, here it is. You know that I've made this piece. It is, I think it's Librarians. Let me check the pattern real quick. I believe it's Librarians House, but I want to say yes. Librarians House by Stone Street Stitch. I want to make sure I get the right name. This is what it looks like originally. I have changed the colors somewhat. I'm keeping the main kind of pinkish, reddish theme, and then I've incorporated some blues and the like, and change some of the greens. But this is the original. You know, I talked about it last week being my 100 stitches a day piece. And I thought, I honestly, truly thought last week it would be done this week. That many stitches later, no, I'm not even sure it'll be done this coming week, but we're gonna see. Here it is. Today's one of those days where I think I have to, it's a little bit more beigey than you're going to see, but it's definitely one of those, it's kind of funny. It's cloudy. The sun sort of wants to come out, but I don't think it's going to. We might get rain instead kind of day. So everything's a little off color-wise. Here it is up close. Like I said, I kept that, it's 221 red, but I changed the greens, the border I changed to a navy. I added some denim blues. I changed the color of the birds. There's not much that I didn't. I think I kept wherever you see brown, I believe I kept that as original as well. But quite a bit more. I did kind of just slightly subtly change. As you can see, but except for the border, this section right here, I have I have 3 flowers here left to do, which are good size. That would be fine if that was it. It's this border. If I had to, I have to tell you, if I had to do this again, I really, truly, maybe I would do the border, but I wouldn't do all 3 parts. Let's put it that way. And if I hadn't done the green, I would have stopped and just kept it with the hearts. This green is just, I know it'll look nice and part of it when it's done, but if I wasn't so stubborn, I would just throw this one across the room and not stitch on it for a year. This is 18 Count Darling David, if I didn't say it, from Those Missing Stitches. I'd started this 2 years ago, I believe, in September with Beth. Hashtags Librarian Sampler Sal, so we started it in September. Obviously, I'm going to keep going with it. I'm not throwing it in a corner. So it will get done before its 2-year anniversary. But it's been a little bit of a slog. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm ready for this one to be done. I love it. And I'm going to scrapbook it. I think it's going to be beautiful, but I'm ready for it to be done. So as you can see, just chugging along. I finished, there was 1 or 2 hearts that needed to get done. I finished that. I finished this flower here, and then I can't remember now. I knew how much each one of these green is, but you have to really pay attention and count, and they look alike. And then obviously there's bigger ones around here. I think I have, no, this one I don't have. I don't have all the big ones done. So I am going to, when I put this one up again, I am going to focus a day or 2 on just green, and then I'll give myself a break and do a flower and keep going. I bet you each of these flowers is 100 stitches. So we will see. There is a very good chance it will not be finished next week, just because I'm at the point now where I get to 100 and I say, okay, I'm done. As opposed to, like if I was really enjoying it and I saw the end in sight, I would push and say, okay, let's do 150, whatever, instead of 100. And I'm just not feeling that. It is the way it is. I love it. I love it. I just don't like this little part of it at this point. So sometimes that happens. Alrighty. And I'm using it as a learning lesson that going forward, when I look at patterns, I'm going to look at the borders. And I think borders in some cases are essential. And in some of them, I don't mind doing them at all. But I'm really going to start to look at those little itty bitty piece things and see if it's really necessary, knowing that I myself don't like stitching them, because then it kind of takes away some of the joy from the project. So I'm just going to look at that as a kind of learning piece, and then try to remember the lessons I have learned from it. Next, I pulled out, I'm saying next, I don't know the order of all of these. When I decide to put them in a pile, I kind of look, and sometimes, for example, I purposely put Librarians House after Heron because of the idea of what it flip-flopped what I was going to finish. But a lot of the other ones are just in no particular order. Silver Creek Samplers. I think I saw Silver Creek say that she is currently digitizing all of her patterns, and that you will be able to get her patterns as digital PDFs and she's got some already available and slowly moving it over. I think it was Silver Creek. So that's awesome. I'm always a fan of having the option of using it completely digital, or if I buy it digital, then printing it off and having a paper copy, working copy. But that's what it's going to eventually look like. I did use the same kind of color scheme, floss and fabric, so mine will look somewhat similar. But this one does leave, the flower and the words leave open to interpretation color-wise, which is really awesome. Here's mine. Maybe not quite as dark in real life, but you get the point. 18 count. This is called Bell Bottom Blues from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And I focused, see all this? This is a huge chunk of stitching. I know it doesn't necessarily look like it because, it's just the bottom row, but it's tons. So I completely finished all of that. So except for, I think I have a couple white stitches that I'll eventually do when I do white somewhere else. Except for that, those 2 are done, and I started to work on some of these, and then I got tired of that, and I did some more, in the end, some more border of butterfly. I did choose my own, I'm using all DMCs, and they called for alternative DMCs because I believe it's charted in a lot of different variegated. Let me see here. Yes, it's charted in some DMCs, just 3, and then color and cottons. I'm using the called for except for the butterfly. So I'm not using the color and cotton called for. I had, let me see if I wrote down all my other variegated flosses except on this one. What is this one called? Pumpkin Spice from Stitchy Stuff Co. And I think it's going to look really pretty in there. So I had that. It looks similar to what they had, so why buy another one? There is a hashtag Butterfly Wings Sal, if you'd like to join us. And I have seen beautiful variations of fabric and kind of floss, changing out the flowers. And then in essence, if I change the flower, I probably would change the words, because whatever's you've got light, medium, and then the words are dark. So kind of, I would, if I was doing this and changing it, I would change all three and just do a light, medium, dark of something that goes well together. Whatever scheme you would want to do. But that's what it looks like, and I'm just plugging along on it. There was no particular reason why I pulled it out. I kind of just felt like it. Sometimes I do that, whether I look at my list, because I've now, you know, I made out that chart where I check off each day after I've stitched on it so I can make sure I'm working on everything. And those that I haven't, those are conscious choices. So at least I know, oops, let me put the pattern in there. I know if I haven't worked on it, it's a conscious choice rather than an unconscious, oh, I just forgot that was there kind of thing. And I don't know, I look at that list. Sometimes I just look through the patterns and say what jumps out at me and what do I feel like stitching. I am a true stitch what you want when you want kind of person, to be honest with you. And this is an example. This is a completely different season. This is autumn, and I just said I have to pull this out. I feel like stitching it. It is Season Sampler Autumn from Blueberry Ridge Design. I did go with kind of the same color scheme for the fabric, but I did change up the floss color on this one. And I really like stitching this one. It's my first Blueberry Ridge design, and I'm very much enjoying it. This is the bottom now, so I really should cut this piece off. Now that I have this side and I have the bottom, so I know how big it's going to be. I don't need to give it huge margins because I'm going to scrapbook the collection. Eventually, I'm going to do all 4 seasons. So that's what it looks like right now. Again, I feel like another thing, if I cut it off, it'll be a little less distracting. I feel like some of this extra distracts from the look. This is 18 count Dragon's Lair from Bestitchme, and I am using Fire Lily, which is a variegated floss from Stitchy Stuff Co. I really enjoy Stitchy Stuff Co. I think, is it Debbie from, oh, is it Mom? I don't know if it's Mama Bear Stitchery. There's 2 Mama Bears, one which is Debbie in California, and then we have another one, kind of Mama Bear up in Canada. And I don't remember the exact, I am going to just write. And the one I mean, I will link down below. It's Debbie though. And I know she mentioned Stitchy Stuff Co. And I can't remember if I went after she mentioned it or if I found her Stitchy Stuff accidentally. And then I remember hearing Debbie talking about her. But I'm almost sure her name is Debbie. Oh boy. You know, when you start to second guess yourself, I just got to act like I'm confident, not second guess. But I did want to purposely come down here so that I had this edge, and then I worked on here. This is at a page break, and I'm doing working copy with it because I don't know if these come digitally or just paper patterns. So you would be surprised. So the stuff up here I did, how long it may take just to make sure with the page break. The page break does not have the grayed out section. What I should do, and I know several people like to do this, is they make a copy that they then cut and tape together where the page break is. That's smart. I really should for the rest of this because I feel like then I will feel a bit more confident where those are. But that's where it is. And this one just comes out when I feel like it. Sometimes if I want, I find this one actually a good car piece because it is monochromatic, and I can choose a chunk, whether I want to do border or just pick a motif and run with it. So it is it's a pretty pleasurable, I forgot to put this, I am just forgetting to put everything in all of these bags today. I find it a very pleasurable, easy kind of not staccato stitch, if you know what I mean. Like it just seems to flow because you just kind of pick a section and then have your floss and you don't have to worry about what color is coming next. Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner, who I talked about, Mary is stitching this one as well and wants to stitch all of them, just like me. And Janet from Janet Jabbert, Janet finished Winter. It's gorgeous. She's now currently doing spring. It's gorgeous. So I would recommend, if you're thinking about these, and Janet has a fantastic take on how she's doing these. So if you'd like to see what she's doing, I would highly recommend you check out her videos. I'm absolutely loving how she's stitching those. Really, really pretty. All right, next. This one was so I am part of different challenges that I like to participate in. One of the groups that I'm in is Whip Warriors. It's a closed group, will be open again late November. And it is a fairly strict challenge group where they do require participation. And I've kind of gotten to my groove this year of what I'm officially participating in, where I do the before and after pictures and all of that. And then some things like categories, which you hear me talk about, I don't officially participate in. I just have it in my challenge book and I do it unofficially and I enjoy it as I'm doing it, but I don't worry about it. I'm getting enough credits as it is that I don't have to worry about actually putting that one online. So it's a lot of fun. And if you want to practice challenges and practice, if you're not sure if a group like that's good for you, you know, you can practice taking the before and after pictures. That's the biggest thing that you have to remember, is to be able to do that and upload. I am awful at before pictures. I just want to start stitching and I kind of forget to say stop and actually takes that before picture. But that's a long roundabout way of saying that this past weekend, right? Was it this weekend or last weekend? It was May 1st through 5th. So it had started probably when I saw you, but I didn't show it, and it went through the 5th. So it's kind of like 4 to 5 days. It just depends where in the world you are when it stops and starts, how much stitching time you get. And this month I've been rotating between Black Roses and Cinderella. And this month I decided to do Black Roses, and that's what it came up actually. And that's from Owl Forest Embroidery. And I was able to put in, looking here, 1,006 stitches for the event. This is what Black Roses looks like. If you've been with me, you know I've stitched Black Vintage Sampler. Did I finish it? I finished it last year, right? And then immediately jumped into another big Owl Forest. This was my new start this year. We'll see. I think a year and a half might be... Oh, no. That's not the one I'm going to show you next. You know what? Can I get to it? And I'll just show it to you. Yeah, here, let me just get to it. And then I'll go to the next one. Because we've already shown it. Why sit there and show something else and then go back? I was saying a year and a half would be kind of like a good goal, but I don't think I think it's going to take me longer. This is a huge piece. It's actually bigger than Black Vintage, I believe. I am not going to stitch... If I bring it here, I'm not going to stitch this bottom row of roses. I am going to, this row underneath her, I think is a really lovely finish line. And I'm going to finish it. See even how this ends right here, and you can do that little swoop. And I'll see, maybe I don't make it swoop so far down. I don't know, we'll see. But I think that's a beautiful ending point. And therefore, I'll be making it slightly smaller, but it's still a huge piece. There's no way about it. I am stitching it mostly in black. And then where you see the roses, I'm not doing Black Roses. I am doing, it's Pomegranate is the color from, where am I? Pomegranate from Stitchy Stuff Co. This is a week of Stitchy Stuff Co. stuff. There you go. That's where it is. This time around, I focused on this side. So let me fold it over for a minute. Owl Forest, I have found for Pattern Keeper, they don't go in the best. I was able to, this is the first time I've really tried. So I guess I can't blanket all of Owl Forest. But I know Mary is stitching this one with me as well. And she found she had trouble with it in Pattern Keeper. We figured out a workaround to individually say on each page what size grid it is. And however I did it, that meant some pages went in perfectly, but this page, there's like a few repeats. It's almost like it stuttered a bit and added extra stitches. So I use Pattern Keeper, but I have to have the paper pattern right next to me, up looking at them side by side. So it's going a little bit slower. My goal was to get 1,500 stitches this weekend. I think also with Spring Mingle and I was distracted, so that also didn't help. But I stopped. I was at 1,000, and I said, you know what, I'm going to stop there and call it a day. But I didn't have much of this done at all, and so I did quite a bit, both flower and, I was going to say greenery, but the black stitching. And I am using Anchor Black on this one. So that's where I did. This is the full piece. This right here is a page break, I think, around there. So that's where I need to be particularly careful. And then we'll have to see how, this is about where a page break is then for the next below page. I'll have to see if there's issues there too. So it's great that it is in Pattern Keeper, but I'm having to be very, very careful with it so that I had accidentally, not realizing it, stitched extra stitches here at that page break, and I had to rip that out. So I'm definitely cognizant and aware that there's issues. This is 18 count Pomona from Under the Sea Fabrics. It was, I think it was a last year. Was it? No, it doesn't tell me when it's a fabric of the month, what year, but this was a fabric of the month, and it's just beautiful. I can't remember if it made the cut for this year or not. Oh, it's so pretty. I really wanted kind of like a smoky plum, and this was pretty close to what I was thinking. When I saw the picture, it made me think of Maleficent, and as soon as I thought of that, then I thought purple, and I wanted something kind of smoky-ish and darkish, and that's where I ended up going. So, okay, this was the piece I was supposed to show you instead. It's kind of got the same kind of big piece vibe, which is probably why I pulled up Black Roses and said, now Black Roses is actually done as an I Spy prompt. I Spy is a game that I have created. Every month I put out 10 different prompts, and you try to find things that may match that prompt in your projects. It doesn't have to be very strict and exact. You can be creative. That prompt was something you'd see at the Kentucky Derby, and you see roses. And so that Black Roses I thought was perfect for it. All right, next one here. This one was my rotational piece, my big rotation piece. Every week, you know, I do a different one, and it's the same 4 that just rotate. This is Mary Poppins from Lina Ova. This is how the full piece looks like when you buy it from Lina Ova. I made the decision to take out this border. I loved the center, and the border is beautiful, but I didn't feel like it went 100%. Having said that, sometimes they really do go. When I'm stitching the entirety of Cinderella, which is also Lina Ova. But this one, I just felt it wasn't necessary. Take out the top and the bottom. One of these days, what I should do is do an extra crop and then just show this part. But this whole intersection is what's happening, and we'll see how long it takes. I did my 500 stitches, but I mean, 500 stitches every month is what, 6,000 a year, but there's a lot of stitches in this. I don't know 100% because I haven't completely crossed off the entire outer border. This went into Pattern Keeper very easily, so that makes it super easy to stitch. But I don't know. I haven't X'd out all of that yet, so I don't know how much is left in total. But that's where I am. This is 18 count Uranus from Under the Sea Fabrics. This was again a 2023 fabric of the month, and I can't remember. This one may or may not have made the cut. Usually at the end of the year she puts maybe 8, 7, 8. I don't know if she does all of them, because she does skip a month or 2 in the course of a year, but she puts several of them up for order. Anybody can order them. And then the ones that get ordered the most, I believe, I'm a bit hazy, but I think that's the way it works. She puts them into her regular line for, starting the following year. And so I can't remember. When I say if it made the cut, I can't remember if this one did or not. It's beautiful fabric. I mean, look at this. And I'll have this whole other side because you are now seeing the border right here. What am I using? Do I say here? 939. So DMC 939. And I worked over here the entire time this time around, I believe. And I'm building a building. I do have, I went one too far, somewhere over here, and I'm just not looking forward. I know all I have to do is rip that piece out. I'll probably have to pull a little bit and then fix the stitch. It won't take me long, but I just didn't feel like doing it. So I said, I'm not doing it. But this was generally where I was working mostly, which again, it's more than you think, right? You say, oh, 500 stitches, I'll get a ton done. Yeah, until you start stitching, and then you're like, oh, there's a little block this big, 500 stitches. But really enjoy this piece. There is a hashtag Lina Ova Sal, if you'd like to join us. Lynn, from Those Missing Stitches, just stitched. Let me write down Lynn. She just put a video out recently. She finished one of the Jane Austen. I can't remember if it was Sense and Sensibility. And very smart. She also chose just a section. And it's beautiful. Her choices for fabric and floss are gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. But Lynn has a great sense of color, and I mean, she hand dyes the fabric, so, and we know how good she is at that, so I'm not surprised that she's really good at picking the floss colors with the fabric. Next one. Now, I did pull this one out for I Spy, but I just find this one also a really kind of enjoyable, relaxing stitch. Oh, it's not a straight on picture. That's why I wasn't finding it. This is my first Sub Rosa design piece. It's called Bee Garden. I started it in February for the hashtag Be My Own Valentine Sal. That is hosted by Carla, from Carla Being Crafty. And I do find this one very, again, another very relaxing one, which is funny because this one is a bit more starting and stopping of colors. But I don't know. I find it just kind of really just lovely to work on. This is 18 count Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. I pretty much at this point, Friendship Green and Nantucket Sky by Stephanie are two that I usually, as soon as I see it even in my scraps, I generally know that's what it is because I use those fabrics quite a bit. Now, this one did not have a DMC alternative. It was charted. Oh gosh, I just dropped my next piece. It's charted in Weeks Dye Works. So I had to do my own DMC alternative. And I think I did pretty good. I might have changed the overall shade of one or two of the yellows and the greens to match what my aesthetic and this fabric was a little bit more. Most of what I did, this block was like 400 stitches. I did this entire block. Outline, word, and inside fill in. And then I did at least this flower, and I might have done another flower or two. I do have a slight mistake on the body and wings outline of the bee, but I actually really like, it's a happy accident. I picked the wrong shade of the deeper yellow, and I really like it. So I've already made notes, and I will repeat the same mistake on this side. Very enjoyable. I really do like this stitch. If you've not done Sub Rosa before, I find the pattern easy to read, and except for having to choose my own DMCs, which, okay, that's fine. There's charts nowadays, right? So I do to the chart of the Weeks Dye Works, the DMC. I see what the DMC choice would be, and then I make a decision if that works, or if, especially as I start pulling more of the colors, or if something else, because, you know, those charts are not infallible. Sometimes the color just won't go, especially with the fabric you may have chosen. So sometimes you have to use a little bit of your own kind of artistic license, but that's okay. Very enjoyable. I really like this one. It's kind of that time of year now, so I definitely see me pulling this one out just because. Now, I did use it, I said, for I Spy. The prompt was I Spy something sharp. And this is where you can use, you know, what most people would consider stretching it a bit. You don't see something sharp, but a bee is sharp, has a sharp stinger. So even though we don't technically visibly see it, we know that element would have something sharp to it. So that's what I say when I say be creative. You don't have to be 100% literal. I'm fine with, you know, creative license on your own. Sometimes I think it's just fun. I try to sometimes choose 10 different pieces, just so that means in the course of the month, there's at least those 10 pieces getting stitched. Now I do double dip between acrostics and other games and my I Spy, because if I did all different pieces, I'd pretty much touch a lot of my stuff, but it would get a little bit difficult. But certainly within I Spy, if I can, I try not to repeat, so there's at least the 10 there. But I would, if I can't find it for a prompt for a challenge, I could easily see just picking it out because I just like it. All right, I'm going to pause for a second because I dropped the next piece, and we now have a pause button, which is awesome. All right, and we are back. That's awesome. That's the first time I've used it. I actually stood up, did a little bit of back stretching. Anybody who's been to PT, I did some standing back extensions. It feels great. So I might have to use that more because I do long enough videos that sometimes you need a little stretch after sitting here. Okay, so that was a happy accident that I dropped my next piece. This is the entire piece that you get when you buy it. This is, I think it's called Oktoberfest Gnomes from Soda Stitch. I am only stitching, let me go this way with it and make it bigger. Right now I'm stitching the Pretzel Gnome. I wanted to join Michael from Uplift Stitches. I talked about Melanie before. Michael was doing, Michael, you're gonna kill me. I know you put it in the comments from last week too. I think it's hashtag, where's my notes? Pretzel Day Sal. I'm almost sure, and I'm so sorry. I used to be able to keep so much information in this brain, and now it goes out very quickly. I believe it's Pretzel Day Sal, maybe. Anyway, Michael had started that, and if you go again, if you watch Michael and Melanie, he's got his fully finished. It looks fantastic. But I found this guy. You know that I'm a fan of little gnomes. I'm a fan of gnomes. Unexpectedly, till I really started stitching them, I didn't know one way or another how I felt about them, but apparently I like stitching them. There we go. This is 18 count. I believe it's a scrap. Yeah. I want to say it's to die for fabric. It kind of feels like the to die for, but I don't know what color. What did I do? Well, this is completely done up here now. We have the little feather in the cap. His little nose is done. We started working on his beard and starting to come around here. Down here is where he's holding a lantern. He's mostly beard, to be honest with you. So I may come around, do the lantern, kind of do his feet, and then just fill in the beard. I pulled this one on and off out this week. So I would stitch kind of like 100 stitches, then put it away, and then kind of went back and forth with it. And so he got some good progress this week. They're not humongous. I mean, obviously the piece is much wider. Let me see if I see my working copy, if I can tell you what the tallness is. Let me see. Did I show you? I don't think I showed you the pattern there. So I did the measurements when I wanted to do my fabric. It's 45 wide and 66 high. So he's not humongous, but, you know, still a decent size, especially when there's lots of other things to stitch as well. But fun. I'm really enjoying it. Soda Stitch's patterns are very easy to read. I did make a working copy on this one, and it's pretty darn big, the symbols. So it's pretty easy to see. I didn't try to put it in Pattern Keeper, but I'm almost sure you get like a single, like of the different, when you buy it digitally, one of them is a single, you know, like, I don't know if they call it PK, a Pattern Keeper pattern, or if they just say like, what do they call them in general? These kind of digital programs, whatever she calls it. I believe there is like a one-piecer so that you could, we'll see. I bought a few more, so maybe one of them I'll try to put in. I'll let you know how it went in. But yeah, just plugging along on him. Really enjoying it. Thank you, Michael, for hosting that Stitch Along, which got me thinking about gnomes with well, it had me looking about pretzels. And then I went to the gnomes and then said, ooh, I like all these gnomes. So you'll see more. This month, I'm stitching gnomes with Katie. Let me write down Katie. Katie, Jeremiah's mom, and I wanted to say woo. And if you watch Katie's videos, you actually woohoo is woo. I don't know. No, see, I'm not saying it right, Jeremiah. But if you watch Katie's videos, you know why I felt that need to say that. But and then Karen is also joining in on the gnomes as well. I had a strange maybe stream of consciousness when I was thinking about that. Years and years ago, I want to say, I think she was a Top Chef contestant. I think that's where she originally was. Do you remember Carla? I think she was a Top Chef contestant. And she's on a show on the Food Network now, I believe, with a bunch of other people. But she was just always so vivacious. And you would see, like, she would talk about how if she was in a store with her husband, they would like go whoop whoop, and the other one would answer somewhere from the store. And so, you know, on Top Chef, they send them shopping, and she would do that and somebody would answer her. So that's like stuck in my mind now when I hear Jeremiah's woo kind of thing. So anyway, all right, let's go back to stitching. That was a long detour. The next piece I pulled out was a start that I did last month, and I am a big fan of Jardin Prive. I just love the look. I like how they're designed, and I just think they're really pretty. This one is Gentleman Quaker. I do also own my Ladies Quaker, and I'm going to stitch them both on the same fabric, which is what, not together, but on the same color fabric. They'll be scrapbooked together in a 2-part collection, and that's part of why I chose that fabric. I do think both of them, though, I'm not going to add this alphabet here. So I think I'm stopping it right there and not doing the rest of this. Now, the one question I would have with all of that, you see up here, it says ABC, and then on hers, it says ABC over here, and then the rest of the alphabet are down. If I take out the alphabet, does it look okay if I do those ABCs, or does it look really silly? Like, where's the rest of the alphabet? If you have an opinion on that, I would love to know. I am kind of going with some general color scheme, similar color design as to this, because I really liked it this way. So what I ended up doing, first off, I put a fairly neutral fabric because I wanted to make sure both gentleman and my lady looked good on both fabrics. So I went with something that is, you know, pretty tame for me. I think most of us would admit that, right? Pretty neutral. This is a beautiful color, though. It's just very slight shade to it. So, you know, it's not kind of like a boring cream. It's a pretty cream. And it is 18 count Benevolent. I always have to say that slow because otherwise I don't say it. Buttercup from Those Missing Stitches. And what I chose to do, I am actually combining because I wanted to see what it would look like. I'm using DMC Black Floche. If you've not heard of Floche before, it is, let me pull it out for you. And I'm going to use the black Floche for both of the patterns. I, in fact, have both patterns in here. Where's my floss? So Floche is a one-stranded floss. So it's a little bit thicker. Many people think of it as kind of, I don't know if they would say 1.5 or a 2 to 1 as opposed to your regular 6-stranded DMC. Here's what the tag looks like. And DMC does not have it in all of their colors. I don't know, maybe like 30, 40. I don't know exactly. I've never counted. But they do have it in a lot of their, you know, like your 321s or your, they do have white, they have Blanc and B5200, I believe. And, you know, like a green that's well known or whatever. So they have that. And this is when it's cut. So I've already cut it down. I use the strands as sized with that. So I do one strand. All you do is you pull the strand and you pull from it and it comes right out. So I decided to see, and I'm using this, you know, in lieu of for 18, I'm an 18 count stitcher. We know that. I get asked a lot, do I use one strand or two? I can't say on 18 count I've ever used one if it's regular DMC, not something like this Floche. I'm a 2-strand stitcher, whether it's hand-dyed fabric or just kind of like a Zweigart. I like that look. I like the fluffy look. I like the fluffy feel. So that's kind of what my aesthetic is. So I decided that I wanted to try the floche in replace of a 310 or an Anchor, especially now that Anchor was bought by DMC. I don't know if Anchor Black's going to be the same. And then I wanted to see how would it look against a non-floche, because the other pieces that I've used floche for, they're monochromatic. We don't have any other kind of floss with it. I am using classic Colorworks Summer Sky. I'm glad I looked at the tag because I would have said the wrong thing, for the blue. So this is your traditional, just variegated floss. And I was looking at it and I don't see a difference in coverage to make you say, oh, that's that kind of floss and that's that kind. I'm really pleased with it. And that, you know, makes me think about where I could use floche at different times if I wanted to, versus using the 6-strand DMC. But that's where it is so far. I'm really enjoying the stitch. We're in a section here where there's quite a bit of the blue. But if you take away the alphabet, you know, there'll be quite a bit of blue, which is great. Now on this pattern, if you didn't want to stitch the dog, they actually give you a flower. It's not the same one here, but a different pattern. So she does give you an alternative if you were to choose not to stitch that part. But I'm really, really enjoying it. I could see, again, pulling this one out just because it is a very, Jardin Prive, I find super enjoyable. I can't speak highly enough of their patterns. I've not tried to put them in any sort of program. I do just print them off as working copies, and I use the hard copies as a working copy. So I can't speak to that and whether or not that would work. So, all right, next is my full coverage. So what did I pull out this month? I was a little influenced by I Spy. One of the prompts was Cookie Monster Blue. This month happens to be Cookie Monster's birthday. So I said, let's stitch something with Cookie Monster Blue. And you don't have to actually physically stitch it. It just has to be in your pattern somewhere. And I mean, this one, hello. There's like every shade of those kind of blues in there. So I thought this was perfect. And this is what fabulous piece you could stitch for May, right? This is Mini Sunflower Cottage, charted by Heaven Earth Designs, and the artwork is by Dona Gelsinger. I do know that Leanne from Small Town Stitches is also stitching that one. I haven't seen it in a while, Leanne. Leanne has a great rotation of full coverages, though. She is, oh, it's so fun to watch her. I think do you have the mini or the regular size, Leanne? That I don't remember. But I did go mini on this one. I thought it would be okay because I know sometimes the mini doesn't translate as well. And I think it's working fine. Now, you can see I forgot to pull this one out originally, so it didn't make the cut for ironing, but that's all right. You're just going to see it all wrinkled. That's where I am. Now, when I first started stitching this one, I had not used any type of program like Pattern Keeper, Markup RXP. There's other programs people use. I wasn't even using like iBooks or, you know, I mean, because some people use that as well. I was doing it all from paper. So, you know, I mean, I would highlight as I did, which meant quite a bit of confetti was skipped because it's hard to see. I mean, my eyes are not the greatest and I would miss different symbols. Now that it is in the digital program, you know, obviously you can make it bigger and you can see and you can highlight a path of a specific color. So I'm slowly going back and filling in. There's a lot of confetti, a lot, you know, all over here, all different colors and shades. And then as we work into here, and I'm sure going down with all those flowers, there's going to be tons of confetti. So what I do is I have been mixing, and this is all stitched. It's white. You'll be able to see that better once I filled it in. But I mix in, okay, there's a chunk of this blue. I don't know what I'll do when I get down here to the sunflowers. I won't have that chunk of blue anymore. And so I'll do a whole bunch of confetti. Then I'll say, okay, let me do some chunk of blue. Or I think I did this kind of, the brown here. This will come down now and kind of come down into a point. So I went back and forth to make the confetti a little bit more, less painful to stitch. I do about 100 stitches a day. I'm a little behind because I didn't start right away at the beginning of May, which is fine. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule. I just like to, if I do 100 stitches a day average, so some days more, which means some days less, I get 3,000 a month out of that full coverage piece. But I'm, you know, like I said, a little behind now. Don't really, it's fine, whatever. 18 count white Ada, 2 strands over 1, full cross is how I stitch my current full coverages. I don't have any that are different. I keep saying I'm going to flirt with 20 count and 25 count and work with those. I think I want to start, especially, well, 20 count I've worked on, so that would be fine. I just don't know if it's just plain white 20, if I would do 2 strands because it's not hand dyed, or if I'd only do 1. 25 count, I do want to work on a small piece before I try to work on a larger full coverage, because that one might be a bit more difficult for me. But there it is, and you'll see this one all month come out as I add extra stitching into it. Dona Gelsinger, her colors are just beautiful. It's so fun to stitch her stuff. And Leanne, if you do like Dona Gelsinger's work, Leanne really enjoys Dona Gelsinger. Has quite a few of her patterns that she's stitching, so it's really enjoyable to see. Okay, next. This one is another full coverage, but it is a much different full coverage. It's blockier and easier to stitch. So if you wanted to do a full coverage, but you were a little hesitant, this might, something like this, even smaller if you wanted to. There's lots of like 2x2 stitch art, or a lot of places like that will have like the hooped full coverages, so they're smaller. But this one is from Doreen Jones. This is Butterflies 2. Now I do have all 3. She has 3 versions of colors of butterflies. There's a yellow, and then there might be a blue. I'm not 100% sure now. But this purple was just so beautiful. And we have a blue butterfly down here as well. But the main focus is that purple. And I started stitching this with a bunch of friends. Karen from the Stitching Owl, which we've talked about. Mary, we've talked about Mary. Amy from Renewing Stitches, who just had a video out. Hi, Amy. You were particularly calm for all the chaos going on in your life. So it's fun to get catch-ups with you. Rachel Q Stitches. Rachel is also stitching this one. And then Karen D, our stitching friend, is also working on it. And of everybody stitching it, everybody's kind of doing it a little differently. Some are just doing the circular part to hoop it. Some of us are doing the full. And then Karen, of course, Karen's doing her own way. And I'm not going to tell you what. You have to watch Karen's video to see what she talks about it this week, actually. And she can tell you what she's doing with hers. But it's a, you know, lots of block. So if you were worried about, oh, full coverage, there's lots of confetti or whatever, this is not that piece. You can easily, you know, work with blocks of color. You can get a full strand of something without a problem most of the time. I recently saw, and I was having some trouble with my iPad. So if you sent me a message or if you've posted on Facebook, I haven't really responded to a lot of that because my iPad was a little touchy, and that's generally what I use. But somebody had posted that they had done, I believe, this piece, and they did all the black outline. The amount of mental perseverance, I am so impressed. There's no way I could do that. But now it's how fun. It's just like coloring, filling in. I'm doing a little of each as I go. So I'll fill in some, and then I'll say, okay, let's just do some black. And then I fill in some more, and then I do some black. I know for a fact I started to do more of the flower colors. So I'm slowly filling those in. I worked in the middle of the flower. I did different blues to kind of fill in all of that. So I kind of jumped around quite a bit. I did work on this in Spring Mingle. I think I have my book here. I think I got 500 stitches on it. I do have it in Pattern Keeper. Now, I guess Doreen Jones are not necessarily made for Pattern Keeper, and I think it sounds like this one I was definitely lucky that it went in as easily as it did. What did I do? I got 490 stitches on it. So, you know, I did a nice good chunk of it. When did I do that? On Saturday. So it just kind of flows and goes by really quickly. Whenever I have a Zoom, a lot of times this is the one I may pick up. There's a few that are kind of like my Zoom pieces. This is definitely one of them now. Again, 18 count white Ada, 2 strands over 1, full cross. So I never say, I always say, oh, this one will probably get put away and you won't see it next week. And then, you know, I do something like Spring Mingle and I say, wouldn't that be really easy to stitch? And then I start stitching it. So I'm not going to predict anymore when you're going to see things because I really just don't know. And then last but definitely not least, this was a new purchase. So I did a ridiculously small amount of shopping at Spring Mingle. I only bought 2 things. This is one of them. I just couldn't help myself. This is the ruby throated hummingbirds. It was there was 3 exclusives from the Spring Mingle that Lindy Stitches put on. I bought 2 of the 3, and that was my purchases for the weekend. This is from Boomerang Stitches. Amity is part of the Hathaway Stitchers. I'll write that down. And you can find Boomerang Stitches on Etsy. Amity and Aaron were also, they did a kind of meet and greet, or it was meet the designer for Amity, and then Aaron was kind of the interviewee. She would take questions from, you know, the box on the side, as well as just throwing out some questions to Amity as it was. So it was fun. But this is just beautiful. I love the design. It went into Pattern Keeper like a dream, like 0 problems. I did have to input the numbers of DMC, but I don't care. That's fine. That's easy. I have figured out how to do that. And I ended up stitching, I want to say, between the days that I worked on it, something like, actually, I started it on Sunday, worked on it on Sunday during Spring Mingle, 714 stitches. Very easy stitching. It's beautiful. I can't wait to keep going on this one. I might stitch on it again this week because I want to maybe top 1,000 as part of the start of this piece and have it really solidly in the rotation. This is the first boomerang stitch pattern I've ever stitched. It is incredibly well designed. The information to give you for fabric sizes and everything is very clear. Amity does a fantastic job. You always know when really detailed stitchers design things because they think of so much for you, and she's definitely one of them. I can't recommend her highly enough, especially if you like that design and aesthetic. I can't wait to start pulling in some of the purples, but it's so fun. This was a piece. This is my first and actually my only so far. I'm gonna have to, you know, do some more shopping. This is an 18 count. It's called Patience from Millennial Fabrics. If you'd like to see a lot of Millennial Fabrics, Tara, sorry, Tara, I always have to think about how to say your name, from Recovering Book Hoarder, uses Millennial Stitches, it's Millennial Fabrics. The Flosstube was Stitchers first, so I always get that confused. It uses their fabrics and really, really enjoys them. And this was a pleasure to stitch on. This is Ada, 18 count, and I really enjoyed it. And I think the colors are going to look phenomenal. I knew I wanted a blue, but I didn't necessarily want a super light one. And when I saw this one, that's probably pretty close, maybe slightly lighter. When I saw this one in my pile of blues, I said, yep, this is exactly it. So really, really enjoyed stitching this one. I'm going to continue enjoying it. I know what my next boomerang stitch piece is going to be. Recently, I think in the past week or two, Amity put out on Etsy, it's called Snackoween? Snacko. It's a Halloween piece. It's a raccoon with a pumpkin. It's really cute. I think Helen D. Helen, did you just buy that one? I think she did. Helen just put out a video this week. I've watched a lot of videos this week, so my brain is kind of mush as to who did what, but I'm almost sure Helen did. And when one of the rooms I was in, it was what room was it? It was the Fresh as a Daisy room. We all decided in the room that we wanted to do here it is, Snackle Lantern. That's what it is. Snackle Lantern is the piece from Boomerang, and try to get it finished by the Jingle Ball. And the hashtag is Spring Mingle Besties. So if you'd like to see, I know a couple people have started it already. I'm going to wait and work on this one first. And that one's a smaller piece. So I think even if I start it more in the fall, I could probably get it done by Jingle Ball. But really, really fun. I enjoyed that. Can't wait to do more boomerang stitches. Okay, that's everything I stitched. Whew. I feel like that was a whirlwind on my part. So if it felt a little scattered, oh well. We're just gonna go with it. What are my plans? My plans include my challenges. I'm still obviously got plenty of I Spy left. What's today? Today is the 9th. If I look at the calendar, the 13th is Tuesday, so I will pull out probably a something Halloweenish for my Dark 13. I'm doing 2 different acrostics like I usually do, Crafts and Books and Magazine Monthly. I Spy, we've got that going. And then categories, I have two. I have 1 completed. I have ideas for others, and I'm starting to work on that. Then the other thing, okay, I don't know how I'm putting it in my book yet. I wanted to do something fun, and I'm not that. I can't draw. I'm not creative at sketching and drawing. I really wish I could. I would do some sort of like running path, and it would be fun. But I don't know. It'll probably end up being a grid because that's usually what I can do. Andrew, the runner stitcher, is doing, he's just started this week his training, his marathon training for a marathon, I believe the end of August. And we are going on this fabulous ride with him of training for a marathon. We're doing it for stitching marathon training because for every mile he runs, the challenge is then you can either do 2 things, 10 stitches per mile. So, you know, whatever, say he ran 3 miles, that's a 30 stitches on the piece you pick. Or you can do the time it took him, you know, if you don't count your stitches. And Andrew he's got everything all calculated for each day for the entire week. If you want to wait and do it all in a week's time, he's got for time as well as miles, and it's just phenomenal. If you go to Andrew's videos, he films weekly on Tuesdays, I believe. In the description box, there's a link to the spreadsheet, and as he keeps going with it, he fills in. The hashtag is whip into shape, and there's lots of different wonderful patterns and designs people are doing that you can see on Instagram if you're on Instagram. I chose what I believe is my oldest stitch. I said, you know what? Let's get some work into this. I like this piece, but I don't pull it out often enough. And it is Christmas Town from Stitchrovia. I mean, I'm getting there, right? I mean, I've got a chunk here, and then I've got, well, you can see the tree is not filled in. I mean, this has got chunks of different colors all over the place, which is part of why I've been slow with it. But I'm committed. If Andrew can run all those miles, then I can stitch Christmas Town, right? So I think what I'm planning on doing at the moment is I'm not doing it daily. And I'm going to take, I don't know, I'm going to decide on, I don't know if I'm going to do like a week's worth or how I'm going to do it exactly. But somehow or other, I'm going to start putting my stitches into this, maybe this weekend, and start whipping it into shape. So while Andrew runs, I stitch. And it's been really fun. It's going to be so much fun to see everybody's projects and what they're stitching. And he's picked a good one too for what he's choosing. So that'll be a lot of fun. So we have my challenges. We have whip into shape. We have the hashtag gnome along. You may see a new gnome next week. And then I pulled out a couple of possible charts if you wanted to join me. I had this one. I can't decide what fabric I want to use. I also have to decide, it was charted in Weeks Dye Works, so I have to decide my own colors for DMC. Maybe for the flowers, I'll just pull out, you know, I've bought some variegated, so maybe I'll just pull out some. We'll see. We'll see about that border too. I may change it up so that it's not as much changing of colors. But there's this an option. Now, I don't have the spring. I do have to pick that up. I have the Seasonal Courier Blue Jay Summer, but I've done autumn and winter. So I've done those 2, and I have to buy the Robin for spring. So I need to pick that up. So maybe this one, because I'll be a season ahead, or I pick up the Robin. You know, I don't do a lot of the extra stuff. I've just been doing the flower and the bird and then some sort of element with it. Then I have this one I picked up last August. the Forest Goddess from Quaternion Creations. I think this would be a lot of fun. It's not a humongous piece, but I think it would be a really fun and pleasurable piece. I just need to figure out what fabric I want. Maybe something along those lines of the peachy red that I did the Heron piece on. That might be fun. I'm going to pull the flosses and maybe do a floss toss on that. And then lastly, I want to make this one monochromatic. I love this piece. It is Real Comfort, Jane Austen sampler from Modern Folk Embroidery. I don't want to do the alphabets, so we're stopping there at the houses. And then I'll even figure out, yeah, because it's easy enough to just put those few stitches in and just make the double border underneath the houses. I'd like to do this monochromatically. I need to figure out, I'm going to just pick a willy-nilly a color from variegated flosses. I'm just not sure which color scheme I want to go. I was thinking I was going to do blue, whether or not I went teals or kind of more brighter blues, but then I had a couple other thoughts in my head. So if you want to stitch any of those with me and you want to say, ooh, let's stitch that, that will help me make a decision, and I'll start something. But I have a couple of, you know, I do want to get some more floss ideas. I'm going to do some searching of floss colors and see what I might want to do with that. Because I went through and a couple things jumped in my head, but not enough. And I really like this one. I would like to stitch it. All right, so those are some general plans out there. I may start all of those. I may start none of them this month. Who knows? We're just winging it. It's a fly by the seat of my pants May. It doesn't rhyme, but it's fine. All right, shopping. So I did get the ruby-throated hummingbirds from Boomerang at Spring Mingle, and then the other one I got was the Max Pigeon, and this is called Bluebird and Blossoms. I think that's so pretty. I might use my Friendship Green on that. I think that would be a nice backdrop for those colors. I think they'd really come up nicely. So those are the two pieces that I bought there, and that's all I bought. And I think digitally that's all I bought. I did buy, I love using, especially for my planners, whether it's my challenge planner, I love using washi tape for it. So, you know, actually that's pattern paper that I cut, but washi tape and stickers, so these are, you know, kind of washi tape stickers and things like that, are really fun to use as, you know, like design elements in these books. And then sometimes some of the signatures start to come out, or they're not quite as strong. So the washi tape is actually really good if you've got a book and the signature is starting to come up a little bit. I washi tape it and I just kind of throw in. So that's fun. So I just got a couple of different, I got some different plaids and kind of pastel-y colors. And then this was originally what I saw from the Etsy shop. And then I said I'd buy a few more just to kind of make it worth the while. But isn't that pretty? I think those colors are gorgeous. And they can be used, you know, there's shades for all seasons. Well, for the springs, the summers, and the falls. So I thought that was a lot of fun. So I picked those up as well. And then I did get my fabric of the month from Under the Sea Fabrics. If you don't want to see, I'm looking at the name. She doesn't make it easy for us when she names these. If you'd not like to see the April 2025 fabric of the month, now it is May 9th, so at this point you may already have it or see it. I get the 18 count, so that's what that looks like. Look away right now if you don't want to see it. The name is not going to give it away. Malangong. I have no idea even if I'm saying that right. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I find when I want to do kind of big statement pieces, Leslie's Fabrics are the first place I seem to look. And a lot of times I pick those for my big pieces. You can look back. It's back. All right. So that was the shopping, really. What time of the month is it? I might get Fabrics by Stephanie. Her fabric of the month comes in usually in the first half. And then Bestitchme and Under the Sea comes in the second half. So maybe. I don't know where she is on her dyeing process for this month, whether she has dyed them or not yet. So we'll see. I'm trying to think if I have anything else coming. Nothing specifically. So we'll see. Alrighty. That's it for the stitching. That's all I got. So if that's all you're here for, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me, and especially if you've stayed this long. You are a trooper, so thank you. All right, so life stuff. Thank you so much for all of the kind words last week. It was very emotional last week. It was a very difficult week. And you all said such lovely things to brighten my spirits. So I do appreciate that. This week, much better emotionally. You know how sometimes you have to be it's not you that's doing whatever is the issue and stuff. You're just having to soundboard and guide and all this other stuff, and then it's out of your hands. And right now it's out of my hands. Whether or not I need to stress more, I'm gonna wait to see. I'm famous for borrowing trouble. My mother would always tell me don't borrow trouble when I was growing up, and it's just me. I have a tendency to do that, and as the older I've gotten, I've tried to get better about it and just say there's nothing I can do about it, so why stress about it? So that's kind of where I am at this point, where I've kind of evened out on this issue emotionally, and if I have to kind of worry and spiral again, I'll worry about that if it comes to pass. Otherwise, it's out of my hands at this point, and there's just not a lot I can do about it. So that's kind of helped make this week be a much better week than last week, so thank you. I did have PT this week. I think the stress of last week did kind of flare up a lot of my pain. So having PT on Monday, we talked about it, and we talked about what I'm able to do and the fact that my muscles are strong. It's just where the pain is happening and how it's happening, and some kind of different things that we need to kind of tackle and look at and address. So I will continue to do that, and hopefully I'm feeling good today. I actually ran an errand before I videotaped, which is unheard of. At the height of my pain, leaving the house was just enough to cause me tears. So maybe that's why I'm a little scattered, because I'm just like, wow, I got out and I was able to do something and I wasn't in agony. So anyway, I am feeling better as the week has gone on. So that's fantastic. And I'm trying to think. This week there was pickleball for Mo. I did some stitching kind of Zooms or get-togethers. I've been feeling that I would like to do a little bit of diamond painting next week. So instead of fully finishing a thing or two that I was going to, I was getting some diamond painting stuff ready. So you might see some diamond painted stuff next week. I like to do littles. I haven't tried anything big. I'm not sure I would. I have ideas for the littles, but really the big stuff, I don't know what I'd do with it. I finished listening to the graphic audio of A Court and Thorn of Roses. Graphic audios I'm finding, I don't know if this is the case for all of them, they're 2 parts. So last week I had finished part 1, and so I was able to I listened to part 2. Especially this, I find of this first book in the series, I found it a slower start and I wasn't really enjoying it. The end of the book definitely picked up, and the series got much better, I thought, in my opinion, as it went on. I thought book 1, except for the novella, which was kind of a useless filler book, but book 1 of the main books was probably the weakest in my opinion. And the rest I felt. So I've got the second one on hold, part 1 and part 2. I think it's like 16 weeks, so who knows when I'll actually be listening to that. I have found graphic audios really interesting, and I've been enjoying listening to ones, especially ones that I have already read. So it's like I've read it, I have ideas in my mind, and then they call it like a movie in your mind, and it kind of is, and I'm really, really enjoying that. So if you have any graphic audio books that you really enjoy, I've listened to the first 2 for Fourth Wing already. I would really love a suggestion. I do like audiobooks in general if the narrator is good, but there's something about the graphic audio that really just takes it to another level for me. TV, Mo and I finished watching Reacher. I thought the season was a good season. Who knew that was Anthony Michael Hall? I kept looking, for those of you who are watching this season, the father, Richard's father, Beck, I think his name is. I kept looking at him like, I know this guy. I know this guy. And then recently I read an article about Breakfast Club had done, for the very first time, all of them had gotten together for a reunion. I think it was 40 years, which, don't say that to me. That seems ridiculous, but it's something like that. And I remember seeing Anthony Michael Hall saying, oh my goodness, this does not look like what he was when he was, I don't even know how old he was when he filmed Breakfast Club. And so that kind of stayed in my mind. And then we were watching an episode, Mo and I said, I think that's Anthony Michael Hall. And he was like, no way, no way. So good old Google, I Googled it, and sure enough, it is. It blew my mind. So now if you're watching it and you are the same age as me, yep, that is Anthony Michael Hall. So overall, I thought the season was very good. I thought the fight episode in the last episode was ridiculously long. They could have cut out half of that and I would have been perfectly happy. And even Mo said, he's like, this is ridiculous now. But other than that, I thought it was a good season. I think they're filming a 4th season. So if you're a fan, I've never read the books. Mo has. One of these days I might pick up a book or two of them. I think Ian Ray. I don't remember. I'm not going to say who the author is because I'm not 100% sure. So that might be a possibility. I am also watching the new seasons of Brokenwood, and I saw on Acorn Harry Wild, which is the Jane Seymour series, is coming back. It might have already dropped the first episode. I'm not sure. So I'm excited about that one. I've enjoyed that series as well. So I think Brokenwood is also on Acorn. Acorn and BritBox are 2 of my favorites, so I always like to see what's on there. If you have a favorite from one of those stations, networks, let me know. I'd love to see what you like to watch. All right, that's about it. That's all I got. This weekend could be very difficult. It is Mother's Day weekend here in the U.S., and I know that can be a very fraught, for multiple reasons, weekend. Good emotions, bad emotions, happy, sad, the whole gamut. So I hope it is the best it can be for you this weekend, and know that I'm thinking about you, or if you are struggling. These things are complicated sometimes, and I know that, and I know sometimes with that complicated feeling can also come guilt and things like that. So I get it, I understand, and I am here thinking of you if you need that little help, to know that there is somebody thinking about you. Other than that, you know what I'm going to say. You matter, my friends. Please remember that. You are important. Every single one of us has special gifts, and we are just, it's just every single person is a beautiful, beautiful gift to this world, and that means you. So please remember that. Until next time, happy stitching.